Welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. Brought to you by First Community. Great to have you with us. Our Friday tradition continues. And we are into the NHL season now, as you know it. Now it's time to react to the season. You know, over the course of the last few weeks, we react to training camp, preseason, the summer, signings, trades, all that type of stuff, contract extensions. Now it's time to talk about what's going on the ice. We got a couple different things going for you on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Jamal Mayers will join us. We'll get into the Blues. They've got 3 more games on this homestand. Had a really strong road trip going out to Western Canada, beating Calgary, then Vancouver. You felt good about the team. They felt good about themselves. And then they come home and they lay an egg against the Chicago Blackhawks. So, off day yesterday, back on the ice, practicing today. The Dallas Stars are in St. Louis tomorrow. They just lost to Vancouver. So, you know, it's interesting. You know, you may think the sky's falling. You know, you beat Vancouver, then Vancouver beats Dallas. Anybody can beat anybody, especially in the Western Conference and no doubt here in the Central Division. Chicago, are they a different team? Listen, they're a different team than maybe what we saw a year ago. But with that being said, let's not get too far carried away. I mean, the Blues just were not good the other night. And when you give teams in the NHL those type of opportunities, grade A chances, defensive breakdowns, turnovers in your own end, and you hand it to the other team, guess what? The end result is going to be 8 goals against. And that's exactly what happens. So, yeah, they've got Nazar, you know, they've got Bedard. Listen, they've got all these young players who are going to be really, really good. In the case of Nazar and Bedard, they already are good. But the Blues didn't play well. Whether they were tired, I don't know what it was, to be honest with you. I mean, it was a 2-2 game after the first. They didn't even play well in the first period. But then to get outscored 6-1 the rest of the way is not how you draw it up. So, again, you turn the page quickly. You start focusing on practice today, and then we'll see what happens against Dallas on Saturday. Then L.A. comes. You know, watching them lose last night to Pittsburgh. It's been an interesting season so far. I mean, a lot of teams winning and losing, nobody really dominating, I guess, unless you're Carolina and some of these teams that have gotten off to really, really good starts. I think they're 4-0 now in the season. You know, and there's been some other teams, obviously, that have gotten the attention of the National Hockey League. You know, but, you know, Vegas will win some, they'll lose some. Colorado, I mean, you've got the two-headed monster up top, but you look at Vegas right now, they've lost a couple of overtime games, but again, they just find ways to win. They were down to Boston, weren't they, in the game last night? And they find a way to come back and win that game 6-5. I mean, how'd that game go? It was 2-2 after the first, and then it was 5-3 after the second. So they just took over the game. So much talent up front for the Vegas Golden Knights. But if you look at the standings right now, I mean, you see Colorado, they're 4-0-1. Winnipeg, Dallas, I think that's the way people probably projected it in the Central Division. Those 3 teams would be at the top of the heap. So that's where we are, 5 games in, 4 games in, depending on who we're talking about. In the Eastern Conference, Montreal just finds a way to win, man. They keep having these late-game heroics. Cole Caulfield was unbelievable, gets the game-tying goal. Great play by Lane Hudson to block the shot and then get the puck up ice and stretch it to Caulfield, who ties it before the end of regulation, and then he wins it in overtime. I mean, that's unbelievable stuff right there. Detroit is playing some better hockey right now, so you know, you always feel like when you get to the 20-25 game mark, and we'll ask Scottie Upshall, who's also going to join us on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. You know, when do things really start to tighten up? And when do you get a real read on who everybody is in the NHL? You know, some people would say American Thanksgiving. I mean, everyone, you know, has different ways of defining when that moment is. But I don't think we're there yet. So even for teams who are struggling, unless you're Buffalo, Tampa Bay, for example, they're 1-2-1. I don't see them panicking a whole lot. Ottawa, they're going to be in an interesting situation not having Brady Tkachuk now for the next month and a half, potentially even 2 months. How do they handle not having their emotional and best player, their emotional leader and their best player? Usually they're not the same player. Your emotional leader isn't always your best, most talented player, and that's the case with Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. Florida got off to such a hot start. I think they won their first 3 games. They were one of only 3 teams in the league that won each of their first 3 games, right? It was Florida, Seattle, and Carolina. And, you look at Seattle right now, um, they're 2-0-2. So they were undefeated, I guess, through the first 2 games. Nonetheless, Florida, they're 500 now. So they win their first 3, and now they've dropped a couple in a row. So you just don't know. Let's let things kind of play out a little bit. But I did like the Blues road trip, and there were a lot of positive things there. They didn't really have everybody going at once, but Jake Neighbors has gotten off to a great start. He's got 4 goals on the season right now. And, he's got so much more in his bag offensively than I think people give him credit for. He almost scored 30 goals a couple of years ago. He might have gotten to 30 if he didn't have that late season injury that prevented him from playing the last, handful of games in the regular season. Maybe he would have gotten to 30. But he can score in different ways. I've always said that about Jake Neighbors. He can score the fast break goals, the rush goals, but we all know his bread and butter is around the blue paint, the deflections, the rebounds, and we're starting to see him score those goals too. But he's got a good shot from the outside. I mean, this guy can take you wide. He can lower the shoulder. He's got, he's a better skater than I think people realize too. So, it was good to see Holloway get a goal the other night against Chicago. They need to get him and Kyrou and these guys going, and eventually they will. Robert Thomas too, just a little bit of inconsistency here in the early going, but there's been times where he's looked phenomenal, specifically going back to that Calgary game. He had a great game against the Flames. So, again, take a deep breath. Defensively, I think is where the issue is right now with the Blues, just in terms of tightening things up. And we're not used to seeing St. Louis give up the type of chances, the scoring chances they're giving up right now routinely. Just the odd man, breaks against the grade A scoring chances in the slot, in front. Those things we don't typically see with the Blues, no matter who the head coach is. And you want to see that get corrected. A guy like Logan Mailloux, you just have to remind yourself, I said this last week, that we may not be able to judge this trade or really understand who he is at the earliest until Christmas next year. And it may even be, after that. But there's no doubt that, some of his inexperience is showing, but you have to play him, and he's going to have to find a way to fight through it because it's not all bad. I mean, there's moments where he looks good, and there's moments where he looks like a guy who's only played 10 games in the National League. So you're going to have to give that some time and live with the growing pains of a young defenseman in the NHL. If you're going to play him, you got to live through the growing pains. And you can't expect him to come in and play like he's played 400, 500, 600 games. It's just not realistic. So that's where we're at with Logan Mailloux. But I'll tell you the one guy that I want to see get going is Philip Broberg. He has so much talent. I thought he had a pretty good preseason, good camp. And you just want to see him get back to using his skating and being aggressive with the puck on his stick, getting up ice, creating offensively, and obviously getting back and defending at a high level as well. But you want to see him using his skating and doing what he does best with his ability to, beat the opposing team up the ice just with his skating and get a lot of, grade A scoring chances as a result. So we really haven't seen that play with Mailloux the last couple of games. I mean, again, everyone's just trying to find their way. Tyler Tucker has had some really, really good moments. He's had some tough moments, most of those tough moments being tough luck, but they just haven't found their groove yet right now defensively. And I think that's the biggest issue. And I think if you're going to talk to Jim Montgomery right now, what do they want to clean up first? What's the number one order of business right now for this team? It's to clean up the issues that they have right now defensively. But the elephant in the room, Joel Hofer, for as great as he was in Calgary, it was pretty much the exact opposite against Chicago. And it doesn't matter if you're playing the Chicago Blackhawks or the Colorado Avalanche or the Toronto Maple Leafs. It doesn't matter who it is. When you basically gift teams scoring chances and goals, it's tough to win those games. And it's hard enough to win as it is. You see so many one-goal games. It's almost turning into like football, where it's always like a one-possession game, even though a team gets dominated the first 3 quarters, they just find a way to be in position to tie the game or even win the game late. Typically in the NHL, you're really never out of a game. But the Blues were out of this one after the second period and during the second period. So that was unfortunate to see. But yeah, Joel Hofer, he didn't have his game. But you know how good he's capable of playing. You know, there's a fine line, I think, with some of these goaltenders who are high-risk goalies with the puck on their stick and have so much confidence behind the net and below the goal line with their ability to, act like a third defenseman and move the puck and handle the puck. Um, it's all good until you're giving other team grade A chances. And Jordan Binnington did the same thing in Vancouver, but he was able to recover and make the save. You just don't want to get in the habit of doing that. So are they overhandling the puck? I don't know. I'll be curious to hear what Jim Montgomery has to say about that. Because I think he allows his guys to be aggressive, get out of the net, play the puck because they're so good. It gives the Blues such an advantage when these guys are on their game with their ability to play the puck and their handoffs and just the little plays they make throughout the course of the year or the course of a game. But the passes up the middle of the ice, I mean, even in the Calgary game, I mean, Hofer connected on a number of them, but you were like, oh my God, really? Like, you're going there. When you're not in the net and you're passing it up the middle of the ice, you better be 100% sure. So again, miscommunication between he and Pavel Buchnevich in the first period against Chicago, but that just kind of set the tone for the game, in my opinion. So again, I'm looking forward to a good game against Dallas, looking forward to a good game against LA. Utah comes to town before the Blues head back on the road for 2. They go to Detroit, then Pittsburgh. So listen, on to the next game, the Dallas Stars. We'll talk about it next with Jamal Mayers. Looking forward to our conversation with him and just kind of what he has to say about all of this. And then again, a big shout out to Alexander Steen, Barrett Jackman, Al Arbor, the newest class of the St. Louis Blues Hockey Hall of Fame, brought to you by First Community, by the way. They are the title sponsor of the Blues Hall of Fame. I'm a proud member of the committee, so it's great to see these guys go in, certainly deserving. You look at Jackman, he's got the second most games played in the history of the organization, most games ever by a defenseman. A draft pick here, won a Calder Trophy, obviously had a great run, and was considered a very good player here for a long time and well-deserved to go in to the Blues Hall of Fame. And same with Alexander Steen, a Stanley Cup winner, who was, at the top of his game, considered among the best two-way forwards in the National Hockey League. He could play center, he could play wing, responsible. He was so locked and dialed in when it came to the details of the game. When to get pucks in deep, when to try to make a play, when to change, and then holding his teammates accountable and truly being that guy for the team on the ice and off the ice. He was always about team. And now he's bringing that to management. And I think he's going to do a good job as the Blues general manager starting next season. And, very intense guy, very professional. Used to love talking hockey with him, Paul Stastny, Scottie Upshall. I mean, these guys who have been around for a long time, who just kind of brought that throwback personality and throwback level of understanding of the game. He just kind of had that, having grown up around the game with his dad playing and whatnot. So big shout out to Alexander Steen. Big shout out to Barrett Jackman. Congratulations, Al Arbor, first captain in Blues history. Obviously had a great run, not only here, but with the New York Islanders. But he's going into the Blues Hall of Fame based on what he did in a Blues uniform. All right, let's take a break. We'll get into with Jamal Mayers coming up. But first, let's take care of some business. And let's talk about if you've got money sitting around, what are you doing with it? I mean, if you just have money sitting there, and do you have money sitting there? If you do, hey, you're in a great spot. But with as little as $500, you can open up a certificate of deposit and earn over 5%. So again, you don't need a lot of money. As little as $500, 5%, you can open up this certificate of deposit. It's a really good rate, by the way, that 5% rate. Unlike most high-risk investments, your money is totally safe because it's guaranteed. So you don't have to worry about your money not being guaranteed. If you don't want to tie up your money at all, you should consider a money management account. The more you invest, the higher the rate. And then there's no monthly service charge. So everyone wants to avoid these monthly service charges. You don't get these with First Community. Your money's completely accessible to you. So whenever you want to withdraw it, it's available to do so. Whatever you do something with your money that makes sense. Make it work for you and keep it safe. That's the most important thing. Firstcommunity.com. Check it out. Ask some questions. Talk to some experienced bankers and let them help you handle your money No better source to go to than the people over there at First Community. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Get that delivery today. And again, if you use the promo code BLUES, you get free delivery. And there's so many different locations. They deliver within a 10-mile radius of where you're having your the things that you buy, your products delivered to you. If you're within a 10-mile radius from where you're ordering it from, they'll deliver it to you, and they'll deliver for free if you use the promo code BLUES. Don't sleep on the party supplies at Dirt Cheap. If you've got Halloween parties coming up and everything else, check out all the paper goods they have there at all the Dirt Cheap locations. Best selection of beer, wine, and booze that you'll find anywhere. Halloween decorations, everything. Big supporters of the Blues, the Cardinals, a lot of different people here in St. Louis. And we love having them on board with us here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop, baby. Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Again, 314-920-5713 for Blue Note Roofing. Gutter, soffit, fascia, siding, whatever it is you need. Let them come out and give you that free estimate. They'll come to you. David Novak, big-time supporter of Blues hockey everywhere. This guy's supporting Blues hockey, season ticket holder, and loves the game. He'll talk pucks with you as well. 314-920-5713 for David Novak and Blue Note Roofing. Lordo's Diamonds. Listen, get that special someone something special in your life. Do that and do it today. LordosDiamonds.com. There's a reason why they've been around for over 70 years. Can you believe that? Mike and Jimmy just flat out getting it done. Best customer service you'll find anywhere. If you're looking to pop the question, no better selection of engagement rings anywhere in St. Louis. And they will treat you with unbelievable customer service. You won't get better customer service anywhere. And that's why people continue to come back. And that's why they make Lordo's Jewelers their jewelers for life. But I mean that. If you go in there with a $500 budget or a $100,000 budget, guess what? You're going to be treated exactly the same. Trust me. I know that. And they will take care of you. Mike and Jimmy, Pat, everybody over there at Lordo's Diamonds. Again, LordosDiamonds.com. That's the website. Check it out. Get out there right in the heart of Ladue, right next to Truffles, 314-432-8008 if you want to give them a call and ask any questions. All right, let's step aside when we come back. Jamal Mayers will join us. Scottie Upshall later on in the show. We talk pucks with Scottie, get into the Blues a little bit with Alexander Steen, his former teammate, Barrett Jackman, obviously also going into the Blues Hall of Fame. And we'll get Scottie's take on what's going on around the NHL right now. I want to get his take and talk some pucks with Scottie Upshall. So we'll do that later on in the show as well. I'm Andy Strickland. Thanks for hanging out. We're at Half Coast Studios. Aiden's in the house. It's our Friday tradition here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Jammer next. Don't go anywhere. Jamal Mayers coming up. But first, Cross Country Mortgage, Mark Cooper. Have you called Mark today? I keep telling you to give Mark a call, man. He's a great guy just to even chat with. 314-713-4377. That's the phone number for Mark Cooper with Cross Country Mortgage. Did you know 1 out of every 35 mortgages closed in the U.S. is closed with Cross Country Mortgage? That is the truth. They take care of so many people. No fees for loans up to $1 million for doctors. They waive all the fees. First responders, listen up. If you are critically injured or if you're even killed in the line of duty, your mortgage is automatically covered up to $525,000. I'm not making that up. Your mortgage is covered up to $525,000. They've got great rates right now on refinance loans, loans in the 5s, loans in the 6s for the 30-year loans. Unbelievable loans right now and options for you. They're waiving all the appraiser fees and the closing costs. Just by mentioning my name or Hockey Sense with Andy Strickland, they're going to waive it. That's going to save you over $2,000 on a refinance. So take advantage of that. Call him today. See what kind of rate he can get you. Mark Cooper, that is. And you know he's going to take great care of you at Cross Country Mortgage. Again, 314-713-4377. All right, back here in Hockey Sense, Jammer's with us from Utah. Gives us zero view of the mountains. I wanted a mountain view.
Well, I could arrange that in about 10 seconds, but let's see.
Is that your first time there?
No, my second time.
How is it as a city?
It's okay.
Like, I mean, just like the weather.
I got to grab dinner last night with Tyson Nash. That was fun.
Okay, good. I just saw him in Vancouver earlier in the week.
Oh, good.
He had a velvet. He looked like he was wearing a couch. He had like a velvet
Oh
suit
my
on.
goodness.
It was a nice one, though. I honestly, I'll say that. It was blue, but it kind of reminded me of like my grandma's couch when I was a kid. You're a man of fashion.
Yeah.
How do you rate his fashion?
It's a little out there for me, but yeah, it's his thing. I like it.
Yeah, it matches him. It does. He wears it well, man. You've got San Jose and Utah tonight. How's San Jose doing?
Well, a couple rough starts to like their first 3 games. They should have won the first 2. Some crazy things happened that they lost in the last 100 seconds of those games, and then they met up with the a really tough Carolina team. So
Yeah.
they've got their work cut out for them, but they got to get things back in order and start putting some wins together.
Carolina's undefeated. They win another game. They're 4-0.
Yep. They look good.
Is this going to be the year for Carolina? Can they break through? Can they get to the final out of the East with all the injuries with Florida? I mean, this is and Toronto's not as good as they have been. Boston certainly isn't as good as this is the year for Carolina.
I think that's a fair thing to say. I think that they play the right way. They can repeat it in the playoffs. The question is Ehlers enough to allow them to score enough goals?
Mm-hmm.
That's the key question. So we'll see.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is not as strong as they have been in recent years either, at least based off of the start that they've gotten off to. Who has gotten your attention? If they're on, who are you watching right now, Jammer, that you like watching?
Well, Vegas, I think, is an interesting team. The addition of Marner and what that's done to Jack Eichel leading the league in scoring right now. That's an interesting storyline. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Leafs. They're certainly missing Marner, but the question is, they're not going to be judged through the regular season. They're probably not going to have as many points, but are they a better team come playoff time? That'll be interesting to see for me. Montreal, they're fun to watch. They're a fun, exciting team. Marty's got them playing the right way, and they're starting to believe there. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, they are the poster child for teams who just truly want to be patient and build through the draft and just sprinkle in one elite player after the next, and then eventually become a competitive team. Because it wasn't always pretty the last couple of years, but you just stay patient with it. People kept saying, "Hey, they're going to be good." Can they sustain this? I mean, based off of what we've seen so far, are they good enough to sustain this throughout the course of the year?
Why not? I think that they're an exciting team. They play an exciting brand. They're getting good goaltending. They can defend. They're a fun team to watch. I think Marty's got a good thing going there, and I'm not surprised in the least.
What do you think of that Lane Hudson? I mean, he makes an unbelievable play last night. I don't know if you saw it, Jamal, but like with the goalie pulled, he like makes a save.
Or he stopped, yeah.
And then he stretches the puck up ice. I mean, just a bullet right on the tape to Cole Caulfield, who is just full of late game heroics right now. He's done it a couple games in a row. This guy's been incredible too.
Yeah, they're a fun combination to watch, aren't they? And I think that Lane's vision is remarkable. I think the dollar value that they got, I think, what is he at, like 8.5 or something? Like that's going to prove to be a discount bargain price. In about 3 years, everyone's going to be thinking his counterparts are going to be making 13, 14. So it's a fantastic deal that they got done early.
Yeah. I think in exchange for the AAV, they had to give him so much signing bonus money, and I think that's what got the deal done. He's getting a lot of signing bonus money, so I guess that can make a difference too with these young guys. But you're right. It's amazing that's where we're at in the NHL right now, Jamal, where we're saying 8.5 for a guy who's played 1 year in the league is a team discount, you know?
It is, but I think there's a couple things at play here, right? Like, you have to lock up your better players. And the second thing is they're trying to get ahead of the market because the market's going up. And I think it's prudent to get it done early.
Yeah.
For that reason, especially when this isn't a one-off. This guy is legit.
Yeah.
And these young guys are able to produce as defensemen at a young age. They don't all do it, but the ones that do, man, they're special.
You think he could, and Billy Guerin would probably say no. He didn't invite him to the orientation camp, and they've got Hughes, and they've got Werenski, and they've got a number of different players. But if he continues to play the way that could he all of a sudden play his way onto the radar for Team USA where it would be almost too hard to keep him off? Or can you not use another undersized defenseman when you have Quinn Hughes already quarterbacking your power play?
That's only a question that Billy could answer. I don't think he'd be prepared to say you can't play his way on the team. Um, I think something would have to happen, like an injury or something like that. I think just the construction of it, as you laid it out, you can't have too many of the same people, right? Like, so that'd be the only reason why it pushes him out. But yeah, he's definitely going to put himself in the conversation.
And again, he's young. I mean, you still have the World Cup now and 2 years from now. And I mean, there's a lot of international competition and tournaments coming up with the World Cup and then another Olympics 4 years from now where this guy is going to really be hitting his groove. So these guys are going to have opportunities. You know, the Cutter Gauthiers, all these guys. Hey, what's it been like seeing Joel Quenneville back behind the bench? I feel like they've given, Anaheim a little bit of a jolt there. You know, they've got some good young players and they've won some games here early.
Yeah, and they're an exciting team. Really happy for Joel. It's an exciting time for Anaheim. They should be excited. They're heading in the right direction. They've got a lot of really good young players, and they're being led by one of the best that'll help these guys become the consummate pros and have fun while they do it. So I'm sure he's got them working, and they're gonna love his 37-minute practices, his 42-minute practices, and get on, go hard, and get off, and keep your energy for the games.
All right, so St. Louis, they give up 8 goals to Chicago the other night. I mean, some of them were just complete giveaways, just gifts, giving it to Chicago. Hadn't seen St. Louis perform like that defensively in quite some time. Are those games hard or easy to turn the page on?
I think they're easy to turn the page because it's such an anomaly, and there's no sense in dragging their face through watching that or going over and over again. I think it's an opportunity to hit reset. It's an opportunity for Monty to get the attention of the players once again early on and get them back to the standard that they have to play at and compete at. And it starts in the defensive zone for every team. And if you're not committed to doing those things, then you're going to get exposed. And I think that they got to get back to work, back to what makes them, what their identity is. I'm sure a lot of the conversations are going to be that. And the good thing is they have great leaders. So they'll be able to get it back in order really quickly.
Yeah. 13 goals against in 2 games on home ice. So they're going to want to correct that. What's the fine line, Jamal, with these goaltenders who have so much confidence leaving the crease and playing the puck? They're so good at it, both Binnington and Hofer. But when you make these high-risk plays, I mean, you just got to be 100%, right? Because when you do turn it over and you're giving up goals, I just think that can just completely deflate the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think Binner is probably now one of the top 3 in the entire league. I don't put Hofer in that category in regard to playing the puck. It's probably difficult when you see your partner doing it so effortlessly all the time, and it makes you think, "Oh, I should do it too." I would prefer if you're not Marty Brodeur, Ed Belfour, just stay in the net.
Marty Turco.
Yes, just stay in the net. We have 2 defensemen. Just push it to the corner for them. Stop it behind the net for them. Please just stay in the net. We can't do your job.
Yeah. But he is so good at it, though. You know what I mean? Like, he is an elite level puck handler for a goaltender. I mean, the guy is so good. Both of them, he and Binnington. It's a big part of their game. So, again, how do you balance that out? I mean, do you live to the mistakes, or do you just kind of say, hey, just tone it down a little bit here?
Well, I think you have to reset, just like anything, and it's okay they can still be great at something and still maintain their confidence and still do it, but scale it back a little bit. Not suggesting that they don't stop pucks, that they don't continue to do that, but I think it's very fair that even internally, mentally, they're going to feel a little bit nervous to do it the next time. So I would think he'd have that internal, self-checking point to be able to say, okay, I got to dial it back a little bit, and I would expect he would do that.
Yeah. You've got to remember Logan Mailloux is 22, doesn't turn 23, I think, until April. He's only played, 12 games in his career? And you made the trade. So when you play a young defenseman, I think you have to live through the growing pains, right? This guy has all the tools, Jamal. I mean, there's no reason to assume that he's not going to be a high-level NHL defenseman when you look at his skill set with his ability to skate. He's got a real mean streak. He can play with the puck. His role isn't quite what it will be, and they're hoping eventually, probably, that, he can leapfrog Justin Falk and, move into the top four and become that guy. But I do think you have to be patient. And I know people look at the Bolduc trade. Listen, you're going to have to evaluate this, not now, but probably a year from now is when you start the evaluation process, and then beyond that. But you just have to remind yourself, hey, you're playing this guy, and you're going to have to play with, through some of the bumps in the road that come with a young player playing that position.
I agree 100%. The challenge for me is going to be this: is like, what are the moments where you have to take him out of the lineup? What are the moments? The communication to me is going to be the key, because ultimately you want this player to be a confident player, but you also can't let him go out there and continue to fail. So you're going to have to hit reset. You're going to have to take him out of the lineup on occasion. It's how the communication is laid out. And what I mean by that is making him feel like he's on track for what you expected. You don't want him to think I'm behind what you expected, because then he's going to lose confidence. So the communication to me is integral on how they hit reset with him, allow him to maintain his confidence, let him know that this is part of the process, that they expected it to be a little bit bumpy at the beginning, and that the goal is that he's an everyday guy come January, February, and that's exactly what they expected. And if he exceeds those expectations by a couple months, that even better. But if they kind of go and give him a feeling like they're disappointed, he's going to lose confidence, and you're not going to see the player you want to see.
How does that impact a player like Broberg, who has spent some time now playing with him? He started the year playing a little higher in the lineup. They made some tweaks, and Tyler Tucker moved up the lineup, and you had two younger guys playing together, and Mailloux and Tucker. But now Broberg, whose game is predicated around his skating. He likes to get up ice, get ahead of the opposition, create chances with his skating. When you have a young partner, does that prevent you from being able to, kind of play that gambler game that we've seen from Broberg, who likes to, get the puck on his stick and go?
Yeah, absolutely. It's twofold, right? Just naturally, he's going to do that. I mean, he's playing with a younger guy. He wants to be able to protect him, but also he's got to play his game and let Mailloux figure it out and make those mistakes. I mean, it's challenging, but you can't expect or want Broberg to retreat or to not trust his instincts, because that's what makes him so good.
What about a guy like Kyrou right now, who hasn't scored? I mean, as a goal scorer, I would imagine he's going to be pressing. I felt like he was even going into the previous game, maybe the last couple of games. Jim Montgomery even said as much. He had a nice assist on Holloway's goal. Holloway gets his first of the season, so I know that's some weight lifted off of his shoulder. But you just wonder, for these guys who are so used to scoring, when they don't score early in the year, how much that pressure can build.
Yeah, it does. For every player, right? Like, you always want to get that first one out of the way, and it's kind of just helps your confidence. Even like a third or fourth line plug like myself, you want to get that. You don't want to wait 8, 9, 10, 11 games. And I think that as he keeps looking at it and looks like donuts, it's going to start to affect him, and he's going to press, and that's not going to be good for him or the team. So, you hope that he gets one on the power play. You hope one goes off his shin pad. You hope he gets a lucky one, because usually those goal scorers, they get him in bunches. So I wouldn't worry too much about him. It's more probably an internal struggle for him mentally. But once he gets that first one, he'll get off to a good start.
Yeah, I would agree, because they get so streaky, especially him. He gets really streaky.
Yeah. Boy.
What do you think of the power play, though? They've got two units. How does that, because sometimes you always hear about offensive players, you get those touches in the power play, it gives you confidence, even if you don't score. But when you have two units and he's not on a unit with Thomas and Fowler and Snuggerud's out there right now, I mean, that unit typically is going to get the first opportunity unless they're on the ice when the penalty is called. So is that tough when you're not hopping over the boards first on the power play?
Yeah, I don't like it. I think you got to have 1A and a 1B. I think you're going to have two. I think you have to have a first unit and a second unit, and a clearly defined second unit, in my opinion. Like, guys are so good. They're in such good shape. The good players can stay on the power play for a minute and a half, and it's not a big deal. It's usually 2 entries, 3 entries at most. You're in zone. You're not tired. So if you're on that second unit, you're likely only getting 30 seconds. And then your confidence wanes. And then you wonder, why am I not on that unit? And so I don't like it. I like when you load up with 1 unit.
Yeah. Before I let you go, San Jose, they've got the Michael Missin kid, right? Who,
Yeah.
high pick, a lot of attention on him coming into the season. Have you had a chance to see him play? And what do you think his upside is? And how quickly can he transition to really becoming an impact player?
Yeah, he played his first game the other night against Carolina. Tough game to, to step into. You can see the skills there. You can see the playmaking abilities there. You can see the skatings there. The puck battle was a little bit of an issue. I think some of it is you're not used to the weight and the strength and the size of some of these guys. I think he has that strength. I think he has that size to be that. I think it's going to be a mental thing for him to make sure he's hard in the puck area, and then you're going to see more of his ability and his skill. But you could see it's there. Just you didn't really get to see a lot of that offensive side of his game. He's on the second unit power play. That will help him. But again, I think I read less into it because it's a real tough matchup in your first game, Carolina. That plays so hard against the walls, that defends so well. I'm looking forward to seeing him getting in about 3 or 4 games and see what he becomes.
Are you seeing Celebrini and Smith take that next step?
Definitely Celebrini, yes. Smith's had a tough start to the year. He's got to, I believe, the coaches have talked to him about getting more physically engaged in the puck area as well. But there's no denying those 2 players are very special, took massive strides last year. And Macklin, leads this group in literally every category. For all intents purposes, is their de facto captain. So, a very special player that's probably putting too much pressure on himself to perform. So it'll be nice if they get that first win to get rolling and start feeling good about themselves.
When do they put the C on the jersey? Get it on there already.
He's got an A, I think, at home. They're doing some kind of rotation, but I expect, if not next year, the year after for sure.
Yeah, he'll be the next captain. Okay, Jammer, listen, great stuff, man. Appreciate it as always. Have a great call tonight on radio. I know you've got some business to take care of here, man. I mean, tell us about your family's here. They're not with you. You're in Utah, but what are they having for dinner tonight?
Well, for sure, Barlino's. They got 5 restaurants: Barlino's South, Barlino's Osterrichis, his Pancake and Dining, and Chris at the Dock, and Barlino's Twin Oaks, the one you and I both really like. Right now, the atmosphere in the bar is so cool. They forge many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family model: cook good food, serve plenty. 50+ years in business, only 2 places to dine: at home or at one of Barlino's family of restaurants.
My daughter is playing out of town again this weekend. My wife, I mean, I feel so bad, Jamal. She's been like traveling every weekend, going on these road trips. But, she stopped by Dobbs yesterday just to get the tires checked out, make sure everything's good to go. And that'll give you some peace of mind. It gives me peace of mind knowing that she's taking my daughter on another road trip.
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter what you drive. They've got the largest retailer of tires and expert auto service in the area, over 43 store locations, as you know. It doesn't matter what you drive: a car, light truck, van, SUV, hybrid, EV. Dobbs has a team of tire technicians and ASC certified associates to service them all. Go to Dobbs.com for complete details. They have unbelievable deals right now as the winter is coming. I know it doesn't feel like it out there, but it is coming. If you have to change your tires, get those all-season tires on there, making sure you're safe for those long drives.
There you go. Spas and more, baby. I could use a little sauna right now.
Oh, dude, can you tell me about it? Spas and More is a local master spa dealer with 2 locations: Sunset Hills and Overland Park. Mike Leahy is the owner of Spas and More. They have American hot tub and swim manufacturer made in master spas are made in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They're the largest hot tub and swim spa manufacturer in the U.S. And they've got a deal with Chili Goat Tubs. Can't wait to get mine for the cold tub. It's got that deal that obviously with Michael Phelps and Chili Goat Tubs. Spas and More offers a high quality hot tubs, swim spas, cold tubs, and infrared saunas for all of your health, wellness, and relaxation needs. Turn your backyard into the oasis of your dreams with a master spas from Spas and More. Spas and More, located at 12957 Gravois Road in Sunset Hills, where we put the
In spa. Hey, listen, enjoy the weather out there in Utah. Have fun out there, and will we see you back in studio next Friday?
We might be on the road. Oh no, are we home? No, we're home.
Okay.
We're home. You got a tournament at home.
Okay, good.
Excited.
Okay. I'll see you back here next Friday. Great stuff, Jammer.
All right.
Appreciate it as always. All right, so that was Jamal Mayers. Great stuff from him, man. Kicking it around the league. And again, he's got the San Jose radio call tonight in Utah. Should be a good game. Utah struggling a little bit. Who are they? We're going to see them on this homestand for the Blues. Next week, we'll see them. Kirkwood Fence. You know your yard isn't private without a good fence. You may think you have privacy. No, you don't have privacy without a good fence. So Kirkwood Fence builds quality fences that last, giving your family the privacy and the safety you deserve. You got to have that safety. Building a fence, it's a big investment too. So listen, you got to take your time with it. You don't want to be stuck with a poor quality fence that won't last. Without a local fence expert, you risk problems with your property lines. And that's where Kirkwood Fence, they come in, man. They understand property lines, where your, property line is, and make sure you're all taken care of. They take care of the city codes, the neighbors who may have an issue with your fence. Listen, they handle all of that, all of it. So when you choose your Kirkwood Fence, you choose trusted experts with over 45 years experience, so you avoid problems and end up with the fence of your dreams. Here's the deal with Kirkwood Fence. Love your fence. They got a Love Your Fence plan. Schedule a free design consultation with the fence expert at kirkwoodfence.com. Receive an estimate based on your budget and a fence style that suits you. You get a bunch of choices for the fence style that you want. 5-star installers get to work building the fence of your dreams, and then you enjoy your fence for years knowing it has a craftsmanship warranty. So whenever you have issues, they come back out, they take care of it. Kirkwood Fence, unbelievable. Great customer service again. That's the thing with all our sponsors here on Hockey Sense, presented by First Community. Everybody gives you great customer service, including Kirkwood Fence. So when I've had issues, hailstorms, tornadoes, they come out and they fix it. There's no questions asked. They take care of you. KirkwoodFence.com. Kirkwood Fence gives people the outdoor space of their dreams by building quality fences that last, so you have the privacy and safety you deserve. Kirkwood Fence. All right, Scottie Upshall, longtime NHL'er, former St. Louis Blue, now co-host of the Missin Curfew podcast. He joins me next here on Hockey Sense. I'm Andy Strickland. Scottie Upshall next. Don't go anywhere. All right, he is Mr. Everything. Listen, I love having Scottie Upshall on the team when he was here, because he brought that combination of like throwback old school player with like modern interests. You kind of had a little bit of everything there, Scottie.
Thank you, Stricky. Thanks for having me. First off, good morning. It's a pleasure to chat with you. Second, thanks for noticing. I appreciate it. I wore that crest with pride. Not just the St. Louis Blue logo, but the crest of having interests and having fun and having a smile on your face and running guys through the wall and playing old school. If that's your flavor, but it's. I miss it, but I'd do it right now if I could. I would strap them on. Someone posted a photo the other day of a Philadelphia Flyer jersey saying like, just, what's it going to take? Bring this guy in on a PTO. I'm like, let's go, boys. I'm ready.
I remember when you were on a PTO at Vancouver. Didn't you guys go overseas to Sweden or something? And then you ended up in St. Louis.
We went to over the other pond. We went to China.
China,
Shanghai, Beijing. How are you? Had some dumplings over there, some nice fresh soup dumplings, played a little hockey against the LA Kings. And then halfway over the pond back here, I was getting calls from the boys.
I know you were. And listen, that team photo was unbelievable. I think you were on a PTO at Vancouver, right? But the team, it's like the Sedils and you, like right in the front, I love it.
Yeah, no, you're talking about the pick in Shanghai, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so listen, we go over there on a night off, and I'm on a PTO, so I'm trying to like slowly, integrate into the team. Although you don't have much time on a PTO, and guys like Lucic would tell you this, and I've been on a few of them, obviously, but you gotta start to hang with the guys, and you got to become part of the team, whether you're on a contract or not. And so anyway, we go over there, and I got the Sedins, and I got these guys coming up to me like, "Hey, do you got a guy here like that can help us, set up a night out? We got a night off in Shanghai." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I got a guy here." So I hit up this guy who, a friend of a friend of a friend, and this dude takes us out into these crazy, like, the picture you saw was from this outdoor like dinner club that had those towers in Shanghai, which is the other side of the river. The place we were on was the old part, like the historic part, and the other new side was everything that's been built. And it looks like spaceships in outer space. So we were at this crazy club, and leave it to me to find a guy in Shanghai to take the boys out for a little pre-camp party.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to get your take on a couple of things Blues related, but first off, just the NHL season. Like, if there's a team on, who you watching, Scottie? Like, who's your favorite team to watch right now that you make sure is must see television for you?
I mean, it's so early that it's just nice to put on hockey, all summer. Summer gets long this time of year, even though it's impossible to pick games. And I say that because I picked the Blues the other night over the Hawks,
Yeah.
thinking it was a lock of the century. It's so hard to pick games, but I like to, my teams, obviously, this, but my teams, the St. Louis Blues, the Edmonton Oilers, the Florida Panthers. I like to tune into Toronto and Hockey Night in Canada, and shout out to Prongs. I think he did a great job, on his first night, Saturday night with the boys. But, those are probably my four, like, must see, games if they're playing. And, I like to just check up on these young kids, like Schaefer, for example. Like, I watched him play last night.
Yeah.
Guy flies. So all the young kids and the hype of the youth coming through the league, I love to check out that. But as the Blues are playing, buddy, it's the St. Louis Blues broadcast. That's for sure.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Edmonton, they're an interesting team, man. I love watching the Oilers. They're just kind of fun to watch. But then, the Bouchard thing just was interesting last night, and I just kind of caught up on some of the highlights, and I was reading a lot of the tweets this morning. When a player continues to make those type of mistakes, I just wonder how that impacts the rest of the team. Like, at what point do you just say, like, dude, like, when you going to figure it out? It's not like he's in his first or second year. He's a huge piece of that team.
Yeah, I kind of caught the bitter end of it also, to be honest. Which, Matty Barzal, like, the guy's a player. He's gonna steal the puck from you, whether you try to toe drag him as the last guy back at the center ice dot or not. He's an incredible player. He made a great play on the goal. But I think if you peel apart the onion here with Bouchard, it's the guy shows up in June, right? The guy shows up in the playoffs, and his numbers speak for themselves. That's obviously probably why he got his money and the contract he did, is because he's what he's done in the playoffs. But I just think, to your point, there comes a time in a young player's career where you leave your entry level deal, and you might get a bridge deal, and your team and your management and your coaching staff kind of give you this little bit of a leash. Like, well, he's young, he's going to make these mistakes. He'll learn from them, but these mistakes they're not just mistakes, they're habits, and they're habits that are forming that cost the team crucial points, whether it's in October or it's in May or June in the playoffs. It's like those things creep into your game, and it's hard to get them out. And I tweeted, because I like you, kind of caught the bitter end of it all, and I was like, holy smokes, this guy just did. He just cost the team those 2 points with that goal.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising. My partner Obi on our show, Missin Curfew, he drills this point over and over again, is that Bouchard just costs the team way too many points for the upside he brings offensively. I just like to see the maturity of him realize, like, I don't want to come back to the bench after making these mistakes and have to look like Connor McDavid and my teammates in the eye, being like, whoops, sorry, it happened again. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Ekholm had a quote this morning I read that said, he part of his, part of why he's great is because he's easy to forget. Like, he's easy to forget his mistakes. I'm like, yeah, but the mistakes are bad habits.
Yeah.
You can deal with mistakes. And I just, you look back to all the great offensive defensemen that I got to play against, from, the Latangs to Duncan Keith, to Drew Doughty, and now you see McCarr and Quinn Hughes. These guys all have the offensive ability, and you want them to go because you want to score goals. And, the game is about scoring more goals than the other team. But at the same time, these guys' mistakes don't crucially cost their team points day in, day out, Stricky. And that's unfortunately kind of what Bouchard's been about.
Yeah. You had Petro here in St. Louis too, who just, another guy.
Petro's great. Like, Petro is the best defensive defenseman on the planet. And I would say that to anybody. And, he played some great positions on the power play, on some great power play teams, but he would throw like grenade passes and kind of just laugh, and it would become normal to him. And I would just be like, holy smokes, the guy's the best defensive player on the planet. And you want him on the ice eating every minute and blocking every shot and stealing every puck from their guy. But when he has to sometimes make the most simplest pass to the half wall guy, it's a grenade.
Yeah.
And I love Petro, and I wish Petro the best. And I know he's unfortunately not playing this year and taking care of his body. I hope he comes back.
Yeah, no doubt. Toronto, watching, Matthews, just listen, it's a little bit of an adjustment, right? You're so used to having Marner with you. You see him and Nylander combined for the overtime winner last night. The power play had been struggling going into last night's game. I didn't see exactly how they did in the power play last night, but it's such an easier transition probably, don't you think, for Marner to go to Vegas and play with that group and all the excitement that comes to playing there, and the excitement for him to sign the new contract and be with a new team and get away from Toronto, versus Matthews now having to figure it out without Marner? I mean, how do you kind of diagnose both players' situations that they're in right now?
Yeah, you probably you probably have more feelings for like what Matthews is dealing with,
Yeah.
because he's now probably more on the spotlight, shining on him more than anybody on that team, more than probably anybody in the league right now. Just, can Toronto get over the hump now? They've gotten rid of Marner, who come playoff time really hasn't been able to be the guy he is in the regular season. Yeah, that's probably weighing on Matthews. Can Matthew Nyes take over, a guy that's going to go out and get 100 points, but be the guy that's feeding, Matthews for, those cookies that, all you got to do is put it on his tape, give him a chance to shoot the puck, and it's in the net. Listen, Marner couldn't be in a better spot. I love the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I love the organization. I love the team. I think I think with Jack Eichel and Stone and, the players that they have in their room, like, they embrace the fact that Marner's kind of out of his, that he can be not comfortable, but that his family can be away from what he dealt with. And then, let's see where the ceiling can get for Mitch Marner now, in a different room, in a different light. And what we saw the first couple games, I mean, he's so gifted on both sides of the puck. I think his creativity is going to really flourish in Vegas. I think he's going to really, realize that it's two different games when you play in Toronto and when you play somewhere else. I never played in a Canadian city, Stricky, but the guys that talk about it, it's a lot. It's a lot to be a go-to guy and things not work out well, and it all come down on you. So, I know Las Vegas kind of been snake bit. They've overtime games. They haven't quite found their power plays working. This Russian kid is a sniper. He shoots the puck like Vladdy used to shoot the puck.
Oh my God.
Dorodeov. How do you say his last name?
Dorofeyev?
It's insane. I mean, he's shooting the puck better than anybody in the league right now, with two of the best, arguably three of the best playmakers, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Mitch Marner, feeding him one-timers. It's a nice combo. And you know what? Petro throwing him grenades, so it's working out pretty good for him there.
Yeah, no, he is a sniper. There's no doubt about it. What about Montreal, though? They win another game yesterday, like late game heroics, Caulfield, Lane Hudson. Like, you talk about a combination that'll excite and ignite a fan base. who already is excited.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll do it when you have those two kids doing their thing and just putting on a show every night.
Yeah, it seems like, the Bell Center is truly the cathedral for hockey. It's, it's a one of one place to go and watch a game. If you're ever lucky enough to play in a game there, it's the best of the best. And I watched the Four Nations Cup there, the game, that was just electric. And there wasn't a better atmosphere in a rink. And what you're seeing now, these kids are, I'm happy for Marty St. Louis. I think it's a great story for him. I think the guys are playing out of their minds, knowing the situation that they have. They got a good young core. You just mentioned a couple of guys, Lane Hudson locked up, Cole Caulfield locked up. I love their captain. Suzuki's an incredible playmaker, and what he did last night on that overtime goal was just spectacular. These guys are having fun. They're playing in a great city. The Montreal Canadiens, I was never a Canadiens fan personally. My dad hated them. My dad's a Leafs guy. So I'm like, I kind of am like, well, the Canadiens being good again is good for hockey. They got a great young core. The goaltending is there. It's good for hockey. Stricky, It's good for hockey, and they're a good young team. They're a problem.
Yeah. And Hudson and Caulfield, that combination is good for hockey too, because
of course. How do you keep this Cole Caulfield off the American team right now? I mean, he's a gamer. He's a gamer.
That's why, you have these orientation camps and people look at it like it's almost like a tryout, when in reality it's just a media event, right? For the media. And it's the evaluation process is going on right now. If this guy continues to score the way he is, it's just, you're right, man. It's going to be hard. And you just never know when injuries are going to happen. I mean, you've got Matty Tkachuk out right now. He should be back in plenty of time. Same with Brady. Trocheck is hurt. You just never know how injuries are going to come into play,
Yeah. Well, those three guys, I put Troch in there too, because it was leadership ability, and I played with Troch when he's younger, and I love the kid. But you're right. Those three guys should be around the team, no matter if healthy or not. But these young kids pressing to be in the lineup come Milan in February, or Clayton Keller, or all the kids like that are just right there. There's a good young core there for the U.S. group.
Listen, we just had Billy Guerin on, and he had a great soundbite about the World Championships in terms of how important it is to go. And he says, if you don't go, you better be pretty fucking good, was his exact words, because it's like it matters, And I think, to your point, I thought about it just now because you said Keller, like he and Tage Thompson, that Nazar kid from Chicago, he went to, and listen, if all these guys, and Keller and Tage may find their way onto the Olympic team this year, but Nazar 2 years from now in the World Cup, and then 4 years from now in the World Cup, in the next Olympics, like this guy's going to be on the team most likely. Do you think that gets the attention of American players to say, hey, if we want to play, and this guy's saying we need to go, then we better go?
It probably gets the attention more of the Canadian players going, holy shit, these American kids are good. Okay. And they're coming in waves, and they all play, and they're all close friends, and they've changed the way American hockey's looked at and thought about, because they have toughness now, they have skill, they got goaltending, they're whatever the hell they're drinking here in the US for the youth and the teaching and the coaching, and now college hockey the way it is. It's a problem. It was always an advantage being a Canadian going into these international events, and now the level playing field has totally leveled out. I won't tell Army that, but I just, to your point, yes, the competitiveness. The ultimate goal for these guys is to wear their jersey and to represent their country at a level of the Olympics and the level of this World Cup. Which what we experienced was so great for hockey, that they're going to play out of their minds. They're going to do things, put their bodies on the line, work extra hard, stay in for curfew, all the things that make you a good player and show that you want to be on that team come those events.
What about Bedard? What'd you see from him the other night? Like, do you really see that? And it's always interesting to me, Scotty, like he really brought that level of intensity to his game. He's getting a lot of attention for it. He knew Doug Armstrong was going to be in the building that night. I'm not saying that's why he did it, but we'll see if he does it the next game and the game after that. And if that's who he's going to be. Could he play his way onto Canada, or do you feel like that's probably just an unlikely scenario?
I think it's an unlikely scenario solely because he's not your, Ryan Getzlaf or Jamie Benn that's going to be able to play, one style on your, Anaheim Ducks or Dallas Stars, and then another style come like Milan game, semifinal game against the Finns, and you need to go run guys through the wall. You need to dump pucks in. You need to play heavy. Like, unfortunately, that would be like the spot on the team that's available for like the Tom Wilsons of the world to come in and show like he's an asset.
Yeah.
Because we witnessed something at the World Champion, at the World Cup that, toughness played a big factor in confidence, in staring guys down, in chirping. And when you have these, the Kachuk brothers and they're running around, making a mockery of the game and looking at you and challenging you, you need to have that. Bedard, he's a great player, and he played great the other night. He had a puck on the string. He made some great plays. He stayed on the right side of the puck, which I noticed, which, is new for him. I had a chat with Panger yesterday. I called Panger and said, what the hell happened last night? And he just said, these young kids are playing the right way, and they were always, they've been knocked down, and now they're trying to be not pushed around, not bullied, and go into games and play the right way. And Ashall's a great coach. He worked under Cooper. He was, in Detroit's system. This guy, he's got the guys playing hard. So we'll see if it lasts. But Bedard is, he's knocking on the door, but Stricky, it's too close. He hasn't really put together a full year of like, this kid's taking it to the next level. So, unfortunately, unless he's like leading the league in goals, or he's,
right,
the Chicago Blackhawks or the Chicago Blackhawks of the 2010s, he's probably going to get, shifted aside, I'd say.
All right. And I completely agree.
Yeah.
A couple more things real quick. Patrick Kane, would he be on your team?
Yeah, I'd bring Patty Kane, 100%.
Okay.
I'd bring him I think he's still playing good, but you need those guys still in the room. It's the same reason why like Drew Doughties are going to get looked at. And, Sid the Kid speaks for himself, but you got to look at Sid the Kid and Patty Kane and say both of these guys are at the same era of their career, but they both bring the same to the group, right? They've been there. Patty Kane's played in the Olympics. Sidney Crosby's played in the Olympics. It's like these guys are, you need them in the room. So yeah, I'd bring them.
Okay. Alexander Steen. Listen, the Blues just announced the Hall of Fame class for this year. Barrett Jackman going in. Al Arbour, first captain in Blues history, obviously made his name with the Islanders, but he was a big, presence here in St. Louis at one time. Steiner is a guy, I just remember you guys kind of sitting next to each other in the dressing room. Like, what was your impression of, like, when you first met him and when you were playing against him prior to meeting him? Like, was he who you thought he'd be when you first became teammates?
No, he wasn't. No, we battled hard against each other as young kids. And young kids, like, I mean, even in the minors and playing together against Sweden and Team Canada, right? Like, Steen was a guy that he was always playing on edge, and he was a problem out there. What I got to witness firsthand, Strickland, it was sitting at Cafe Napoli. I'm on a PTO. We just talked about PTOs and what you got to do when you get to camp, but I was sitting having lunch with Bertuzzo and Schwartz, and Steen walks over from his condo, sits down, has a coffee at lunch, starts talking about hockey. And I witnessed a guy that just cared so much about the city he lived in, his teammates, the game itself, the history of the game, and the players that have been through it before. And I immediately just, I had to look in the mirror at who I was and how I looked at the game after a quick lunch and a quick conversation with Steen, and realized just how much I wanted to be on the team that year, and how I wanted to be somewhat of a difference maker, because that's who Alex Steen is. And, listening to Army speak in front of the team yesterday that went viral on the Blues Instagram, and hearing the words he said about Alex Steen, he couldn't have been more point on. He challenges his teammates. He challenges his manager. He challenges his coaches. He challenges himself. He is a great father. He's a great, husband. He's just he's an overall great human being. And, getting to play those 3 years alongside him, get to sit next to him in the dressing room when he breaks his toe on a block shot and he's getting needles put in it and his shoulders taped up and he plays through everything for the team, and get the chance to see him win the Stanley Cup was something special. I love the guy. I speak so highly of him from now as a GM to as a player to as a friend. I love the guy. I love Jax as well. Jax, you could put right there. I never got to play with Jax, but from what I hear as a teammate, is one of one. So those two guys, they couldn't have picked two better guys. And now I feel old because guys I'm playing with are going in the Hall of Fames and stuff. It's not perfect, man. I'm like, oh my God. But Alex Steen, man, he couldn't have been a better time. And the Blues are in good hands for the next decade with him, at the helm making the decisions.
So you played for Army and Steiner. I mean, do you see Steiner as a general manager being a lot like Army or being different than Army?
Well, not a knock to Army, but he didn't play. So he didn't play the game, but he knows the game more than anybody. And so Alex getting to I know Alex now the last couple of years has really got a chance to mold under Army and, getting a chance to talk to Steiner, off the record about things is amazing. And what you're going to see in Alex is almost the perfect storm of the ex-player that battled and played together and knows the room from a player's perspective. And now as a guy that's a champion, but understands how a champion GM works like Army, he's going to really bring, a dynamic to that position in sport that not many guys can do. And I'm proud of him. Like there's a lot of guys like Steiner that have stepped in, like, the Brendan Shanahan, Steve Yzerman's, Chris Drury, these guys, there's a lot of them in the league, but there's no Alex Steens. There's one guy that's Alex Steen, and that's who's going to be at the helm in St. Louis. I think it's a great move and excited to see what he's able to do when he gets that gig himself.
Yeah. Danny Briere is another guy who just, who had a long playing career and now a general manager. But
Danny B.
But I agree with you. And it's going to be fun to watch. And you see how serious he is and how committed he is, because it's not a job that you can do if you've got 1 foot in. I mean, you've got to basically dedicate your entire life to it, So he's done that. Did you think he had that in him?
Just like being a sports broadcaster, bud. You got to just dedicate, don't you?
Did you think he had that when he was like, if I would have told you when you guys were sitting next to each other that, hey, this guy is going to be a general manager, like, did you think he had that in him to want to do that?
Yeah, I definitely did. And if it wasn't that, it would have been, a head coach. But he, I think he's in a better position being able to help the coaching staff, but overall understanding the heartbeat of the team, right? That's the GM's job, is understand the heartbeat of the room, the dynamic of players, the youth of the game, what pieces you need to bring in. And Steiner was a big reason, a big reason why I extended my career a year and came in from Vancouver. Like Army called a meeting and leadership group was, it was, who should we bring in, Jaromir Jagr or who else? And they stuck up for me saying, Uppy's still available and we know what he brings and he's healthy and, he's in Vancouver on a PTO. Let's bring him back. And without Steiner understanding like the dynamics of how the room works, that probably would have got overlooked by Army. So that's the dynamic that Steiner brings, and that, the St. Louis Blues are, it's what they're built on. They're built on, good leadership and good guys, all the guys. That's why that's why the alumni is the way it is. And Steiner's a big reason for that.
Okay, man. Well said. All right, go enjoy the sunshine and your family and everything else you have going on today. Thanks for doing this, Scottie. I appreciate it. We'll be in touch.
Of course. All right, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care. Yep, you got it. That's the Up Dog, Scottie Upshall. Great catching up with him. Got into a lot of different things. First Community brings us hockey sense each and every week. You know that. The Little Blues program. Sign your son or daughter up for Little Blues and do it today. Ages 4 to 9. Little Blues. You can't have previous organized hockey experience, so if you do, you're not eligible. But here's the best part about the Little Blues program. All your equipment comes with it. Everything, head to toe, helmet, skates, stick. So if you don't know what you need to get little Johnny or little Susie to get set up for hockey, you don't have to worry about it. If you're overwhelmed going to the hockey shop, you don't have to worry about it because you've got Little Blues taking care of you. You sign up, give them your sizes, they send it all to you in a box, and you're ready to go. Great instruction, just a reasonable price, too. And you want to get your son or daughter introduced to the game and fall in love with the game, this is the best way to do it. Little Blues, brought to you by First Community, firstcommunity.com. We've been talking a lot about First Community with the St. Louis Blues Hall of Fame. So, again, they just continue to do some incredible, incredible things. Hackett Security, they've got residential and commercial security solutions. So if you're designing your residential security, listen, nothing's more important than the safety of your home, safety of your family. We all know that. That's why Hackett Security uses the most advanced systems and solutions to guarantee your peace of mind. And that's what it is. Especially when you're traveling and you're getting out of town, you want to make sure your house is secure, taken care of, your family secure. You get that with Hackett Security. Same thing with the business security solutions. I mean, they secure government buildings from across the globe. If you're moving and English is not your first language, listen, they've got representatives and people that can help you no matter what language you speak. Mike Hackett, man, this guy is unbelievable. Provides the most ambitious security solutions. And they've been doing it since, 1977? So give them a call today, 314-432-4200. 314-432-4200. They've got offices in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona, all over Virginia. So no matter where you are, they'll take care of your security needs. 314-432-4200. And you can check them out online, HackettSecurity.com. That's 2 T's, HackettSecurity.com. All right, this has been Hockey Sense. Brought to you by First Community, Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Mark Cooper, Cross Country Mortgage, covering first responders, mortgages up to $525,000. If you're ever critically injured in the line of duty, 314-713-4377 for Mark Cooper. Save north of $2,000 off your closing when you refinance just by mentioning Hockey Sense. They'll waive all the fees. Mention my name, Andy Strickland. They'll waive all the fees over there at Cross Country Mortgage. Again, 314-713-4377. All right, for Aiden, I'm Andy Strickland. For Jamal Mayers, for Scottie Upshall, we appreciate everybody for helping us out on this edition of Hockey Sense. It's the Blues and the Stars. 3 more games on this homestand. We're here every Friday for Hockey Sense, our Friday tradition. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great weekend, everybody.